Was scrolling through LinkedIn the other day, just casually, nothing special, and I saw another lecturer job pop up. You know the ones I'm talking about. Beauty therapy lecturer required, level 3 in education and training essential. And I paused for a second because I already knew what was about to happen. Someone out there is going to see that and think, I've got level 3, let me just apply and see. Welcome back to I'm No Rookie, the podcast for experienced professionals who know they're ready for more, but just need clarity on what the next steps look like. And today's episode is one I really wanted to sit down and talk through properly because I see this happening all the time. People are applying for lecturer roles with the right intentions, but without really understanding what those employers are usually looking for. So before you apply for that next job you see, I want you to do this first. So let me give you some context. As someone who shares job opportunities quite regularly on LinkedIn, I see a lot of education roles. Sometimes they're from recruiters, sometimes colleges, sometimes they come straight into my inbox because I've got alerts set up. And over time, I started noticing a pattern. Yes, they want the qualification, but that's not what gets you the job. That's just what gets you considered. And I remember reading one particular job advert and I thought to myself, if someone just applied to this based on the qualification alone, they would completely miss what this role is actually asking for. Because when you look deeper, they're asking for things like experience teaching, experience assessing, experience supporting learners, experience delivering structured sessions. And I thought, this is where people get stuck because they read that and think, I don't have that. But in reality, they do. They just don't recognize it, or they're not calling it that at the moment. So let me give you a real example. If you have ever onboarded a new therapist in your salon, you've taught. If you've ever shown someone how to carry out a treatment properly, you've demonstrated. If you've ever watched them kind of afterwards to check if they're doing it correctly, you've assessed. If you ever help someone improve their retail because they were struggling, you've trained. But when I look at a CV, none of that is written down. It just says things like delivered treatments, maintain client satisfaction. And I'm thinking, you're doing so much more than that, but you're not showing it. And that's the challenge. The turning point for me when realizing that this gap isn't always about experience, it's awareness and then documentation. The real shift is understanding this. You don't need a job title to prove you've been teaching. You need evidence that you've been guiding, supporting, and developing others. That's what employers are looking for. And once you see your role through that lens, everything changes. So before you apply for any lecturer job, I want you to slow down and do this properly. First, audit your current role, not your job title, your actual responsibilities. What are you already teaching? Where are you already supporting others? Where are you already assessing? Then look at the job advert again. And this time, don't skim it, match it. If they say they want someone who can deliver training, ask yourself where you've done that already. If they then mention assessing learners, think about where you've observed and given feedback. And here's the important part. Use their language, not to copy, but to align. Because when someone is reviewing your CV, they're looking for familiarity. They want to see that you understand what the role involves. The other thing I want you to think about is how you present your qualification. Please don't just list modules. That doesn't really do very much for you. Instead, show how you've used what you've learnt. How has it improved your confidence? How has it changed the way you explain things? How has it helped you support others better? That's what makes you stand out. And this is actually why I created Develop an Educators Academy, because I saw so many experienced professionals doing the work already, but not recognizing it as teaching or not feeling confident enough to step into that next space. The qualifications are important, yes, but it's also important that you connect the dots between what you already do and how that translates into educator roles. So, this is what I want you to think about. Are you actually lacking experience, or have you just not recognized and demonstrated or documented what you're already doing? So in this episode, we talked about why applying for a lecturer job isn't just about having qualifications. We've looked at how much teaching experience you already have within your current job, even if it's just not labeled that way. And we've also explored how important it is to match your experience to what the job is actually looking for. If there's one thing you take away from today's episode, it's this: don't rush to apply. Take the time to recognize, align, and present your experience properly, because you might already be more than ready than you think. If this episode made you pause and reflect on your own experience, make sure you subscribe to the podcast. Share it with someone who's thinking about making that move into education, and leave a review. It really does help people find the content and take the next step with confidence. And as always, you're no rookie in the game of life. It's time to take action.